Well, I always say like the way that it shouldn't happen, I guess. Like the way it should happen, but it shouldn't happen, happened for me. So the way that people hope it would happen is that you go to school and you get repped and you start working. That never happens, but that's the way it happened for me.
Hi, and welcome to the Storia podcast where storytellers disrupt. I'm David Noronha.
And I am Fabiano Altamura.
And before we hop in with our guest, please remember to like, subscribe, follow, and give us that 5-star review. Brother, we have a friend in the house today.
We have a great friend in the
Well, we actually, technically, by the way, before we hop in with our remote guest, we have 2 friends in the house.
We do.
Who do we have off camera that we might hear her giggles occasionally?
You might hear her giggles.
Your mum.
My mother is in town all the way from Italy.
Yes.
She's come to see me.
I'll have Jess insert a picture of her.
Well, yeah, you should do. I tried to get her on the podcast today. She went, no, I can't go, and I've not washed my hair.
Well, no, she's running it through legal. She's got her manager
She
looking
has
at
a manager,
the paperwork.
yeah.
So
yeah, we have the most amazing Emily Rose with us. Emily, thank you for joining us all the way from ATL.
Yes, my pleasure. I can't believe your mom's in the room. Oh my goodness. That is so exciting. Hello, Mom.
Fab requires it. She's kind of like a security blanket for him. She comforts him.
Yes. She totally is.
Yes.
Well, let's get into it with Emily. So, Emily, you have a huge bio of film work, TV work, film work, the gaming work. So, Emily, you were first known for your role as Audrey Parker in Haven on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's kind of where you...
I would say that's probably the heaviest lifting I did. Yes.
And then you also play Eleanor Fisher in Uncharted for PlayStation.
Yep.
And you've been on the ERs, the NCISs, everything. The most recent movie you've done is The Shift with Neil.
Yes, I was in it with Neil McDonough. Yeah,
Neil
Little
McDonough.
Blink.
Yeah, but just a wealth of experience. And I was looking back at emails today, and it was so funny how we met Emily. So I get this email to the info@bethelconservatory.com, and it was the 1st of November 2018.
Wow, early days.
Early days.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is why you were checking the info at email.
Which I was checking at the info at email, yeah, exactly. So I checked and I noticed Emily and I went, oh my goodness, a well-known actress is getting in touch with us that loves the Lord. And I had seen her, it was so funny, I'd seen you before on a promo video at Vanguard University. And I was like, who is this? And then she gets in touch. So
yeah.
Emily, thank you for joining us. I know you have a very, very busy schedule with 3 kids and husband and everything you're doing. So thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. It's overdue. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. And she every single year she comes in and talks in professional development. I know she's talked in screenwriting.
She has as well. Yeah, we've been blessed by her speaking to our students. Emily, there's so much with you that we want to chat about. We're actually going to do a 2-parter with you. And Fab, you wanted to talk maybe more about family life. Like how does someone like Emily balance family life? So Emily, how long have you been married? How many kids do you have? And how on earth do you juggle being a professional actress, a mom, and
oh my goodness.
wife?
Well, I've been married since 2009, December of 2009, because you only get married in December in the industry because that's when nothing's happening. And so, December 2009. So what is that? 14-ish years. December 6th. Yes, up in Washington State. And I have 3 kids, Miles, who is 10, Memphis, who is 8, and Mercy, who is a girl who I didn't know of at the time, but I say that because one of the first times, the only time I came and spoke in person at Bethel, they prayed for me at the end of speaking, and somebody was like, I feel like, do you have a girl? And I was like, I had not even told anyone I was pregnant at all. And I said, I am pregnant. I don't know if it's going to be a girl or not. And they're like, we feel like you're going to have a girl. She's going to be a really big gift to you. And sure enough, I had a little girl named Mercy, and she's a great gift.
How old is she?
Yes, she's 4.5, and she is revving in the red at all times. Let me tell you.
Is she the performer in the family?
Well, it was spoken over her that she would definitely continue on, and I've kind of hands off, and I would not be surprised. She very much has that imaginative play, and just she plays around with voices, and it's always this character and that animal and this thing. So it's a little early, but yes, I would not doubt it.
Let me ask you this question. It's just come to mind. If any of your kids, having been in the industry for so long, if any of your kids came up to you and said, "Mom, I would love to be an actor or an actress," what would you say to them?
Right. At their age right now or in the future?
They wanted to, either. So like if they wanted to do, child acting or anything, modeling.
At what age would you crush their dreams, Emily, is really what
I know. Well, it's so hard because I feel like there's so many people that it's like the ones that go badly are the ones you hear about, but the ones who are great and are doing well, you don't really hear about. They're just great actors and you're just happy to have them on set and you're just so thankful when there are some of those. So I don't know. I feel like right now I'm at a point where I'm like, don't you want to do that play? Like, wouldn't it be fun to be in theater? And my boys are a little bit more, I think, well, my oldest is a little bit more embarrassed, but I would not be surprised if he became a director or a writer or a producer because that kid is in charge. So I feel like he's a planner and he's in charge and he's got ideas.
So you would be averse to them going into the industry if they said at the age of like, say, how old's Memphis? You said he's Miles is 10.
Yeah, Memphis is 8. I think honestly, I would just be like, all right, we can audition for that. Let's see how you like doing that. I think it would just be baby steps. I mean, I don't know, baby steps.
And I got to ask, what's your husband do?
He's a marriage and family counselor.
Perfect. Because every actor needs a therapist in their life. I've needed 3. So
yeah,
you're
well, isn't that interesting? It's like this. I find that a lot of times actors are with therapists, or there's kind of this enjoyment of the psychological or motivation or people, so it kind of is similar.
But here's the thing: you think you'd be able to save money because you could go to your husband for therapy, but your husband's like, I don't want to coach you. That's all right.
No.
It's too close to home.
No.
That comes at a high cost.
It totally does, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your story, Emily. When and how did you know that you wanted to become an actress?
Well, I'll try to be brief on it, but essentially I was in, singing and little performance groups growing up. But by the time I was in junior high school, I was really interested in horses. So I thought, well, I'll be a horse vet. I'd love to be a horse vet. But then I shadowed a horse vet for a while and I was in surgeries at the racetracks and things like that. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to be responsible for a horse's life. Like I enjoy them and I want to help them, but I don't know if I want to go to that extent and all the pre-med and all those things. I was like, I'd rather play one on television. So, but there really did come a time when my parents wonderfully said, what do you want to study? What do you like? And I did have some things in high school that really pointed me towards those things. While I never really got leading parts as much in like the community theater things, I was always kind of getting character roles on the side. And there was an acting for TV and film class that was being taught in Bellevue, Washington, which is about a half an hour from where I was raised. And my mom wanted to put all 3 of us in this acting school, but it cost a lot of money. So she was like, well, my daughter likes teaching and is really great with kids. And would she be able to assist here? And I always believe that the Lord kind of we're seeing this all over he's very much, there's a lot of foreshadowing in your life if you look for it, especially as you get older. And so there I was, probably around 16 years old. And I was there assisting working actors in the Seattle area, teaching a 4-week industry class, an 8-week commercial class, and an 8-week industrial, like theatrical class. And I was assisting these working actors learning about it. For 2 years, they had showcases. They had agents that came. They were sending tapes down to LA for like Freaks and Geeks and things like that. I was getting noticed by some agents and managers, and they wanted me to move down to Los Angeles just to do the community college audition pilot season thing. But I just had this feeling early on that I didn't want to go and study theater in a place where they didn't understand my faith or what I valued. So that's when I started looking for schools, thought maybe I'd go to Westmont, didn't end up there, ended up at Vanguard University with an incredible teacher who said, listen, if this is what the Lord has called you to do, he's placed it on your heart. He's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to just drop you like that. So let's steward it. Let's shape it. Did that at Vanguard for 4 years. And then I graduated. I didn't think anybody would really know about that school. Auditioned for a bunch of grad schools through the ERTAs, got accepted through UCLA and some other schools, and just decided, hey, if I'm going to go up to LA, I'd like to be in the city where I'm going to be and really be in like a little, I think of it like an aquarium, like a little fish bag in the aquarium. Like that's what UCLA was for me. It was a small 12-person cohort as my master's degree. And we were there for 3 years in that sculpture garden and just studying all aspects of theater and acting, best time. And it was like I went from one small environment to the next, and then I started working after that.
How was life at Vanguard? It was a faith-based university, but how did that shape your kind of perception of the industry? Was it very industry focused, or was it very faith-based focused, or both?
I think for me, it kind of mirrored a lot of what my high school experience was, which wasn't to say that it was at that level, but it was just greater than. It was integrating the faith aspect, as well as that was kind of the like all the sketch comedy that we did. I was on a summer touring sketch comedy team that Vanguard has. I was on that for 4 years. So we went and volunteered at didn't volunteer. I mean, the school sent us out with a minivan and a gas cart and a Thomas guide at the time. And we went to Montana and Oregon and Colorado and all over doing us like SNL-ish type sketches, and then ministering during the school year at a youth group once a week, going and doing like a 45-minute program for youth groups and stuff. But I think for me, it was just an ability to integrate the two things and also be a creator. Nothing was like we're just in an acting track. We showed up on Saturdays, we all got donuts, and then we went and built all of our sets, and we were, stage managing things. And I was in there, I was at the theater. The theater was our theater. We were there until like 2 a.m, creating stuff and making shows. And there was a lot of freedom to create your own stuff because it was small like that. So we felt like a tight knit community. And we all were acting with each other. So we all wanted to kind of get better and keep pushing each other. And, iron sharpens iron kind of a thing.
But you didn't feel that was enough. You still felt like there was more that you needed in your craft to actually pursue it professionally. Did you not feel that Vanguard was enough? Did you?
I love Vanguard, and I think it's even improved even more since I've been there. I grew up in Washington. It's very similar to where you guys are. I was very fortunate. My junior and senior year, I had a friend's parents bring us down to Ashland all the time. And when I'd go and I'd watch OSF and I'd watch these plays, and I'm like, that person is so good. And I would look at their bios and they all had their master's degrees. I was like, that's so interesting. Everybody that I'm just like, dang, they're impressive. They all had their masters. And there was something, there was just some sort of like difference there was something about that. So I kind of in the back of my mind was like, well, if I get my master's, I could always teach. I just never thought I'd get to do it. I guess that's the only way to say. I never ever thought I'd get to do that, to do what I've gotten to do. So I think I just kind of I just felt like, okay, if I know I can't teach at the collegiate level if I only have my bachelor's. So that meant, and I was, going to be 27 by the time I was like, I just gotta do it. It's like, I gotta go knock it out. I just gotta go get her done. So, and to me, and
you can't teach without your master's unless you start your own school. And then in which case,
well, there you go.
You can both cheat the system.
We have a master's worth of experience,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
I got to ask you.
You do.
Yeah. I just want to roll back real quick. We talk about this a lot with our students at Bethel Conservatory. And in fact, Fab right now, he's directing our town, and, the students are very involved in every aspect of the production. I want to roll back for those that aren't necessarily actors, maybe don't come from a theater background. What impact does it have on you as an artist to be the one building the set, sewing the costumes, lighting the set? What impact does that have?
Well, I just think it gives you a great ownership of what you're doing. It makes you appreciative. Whenever I get onto a set, I'm always connecting with a grip or a lighting person or a carpenter. Or, hey, how's that made? I mean, my sister was an art director for a long time. We just come from a family of people that make things and fix things and build things. So to me, it's just like this ability to make it. And what I loved about UCLA in my time there, which it's not everybody's route, but what I loved about what they did is they just said, you guys will never be the ones sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, even though I still do that sometimes. I wait for the phone to ring. But but they're like, you need to be doers and makers and creators. Like that's who these people are. You need to have an all you can eat buffet of tools at your disposal. You're going to learn every single type of um, technique because you don't know who you're going to be working with, but also you got to create together. And I think a lot of the notice that I got when I came out of school came out of this group of people that was creating together. And like the Tim Robbins, he created the Actors Gang. He was out of UCLA. Like there's a lot of people that just go and kind of do these troops and create these things. And so I feel like that was kind of the common thread is like if you got to do it, you got to be the one to make it and do it too.
It creates such a high value for the art. I mean, people just think, you booked as a day player, you go on set, you say your lines and you go home, but you don't realize everything that goes into that. And then with theater, if you're actually getting involved making the sets, I mean, the camaraderie, as you said, the
late nights,
late nights, the buy-in, it just gives you such a huge value for all of the components that go to putting in a show, right? So Emily, talk to us after UCLA. How long was it after that you got repped and you booked your first job?
Well, I always say like the way that it shouldn't happen, I guess, like the way it should happen, but it shouldn't happen, happened for me. So the way that people hope it would happen is that you go to school and you get repped and you start working. That never happens, but that's the way it happened for me. It was the Lord 100% that those doors opened. He just really placed me along the way and these people and just kind of, I don't know, I think as a believer we try, at least I feel like you see Jesus in scripture seeing people and being present with people, not looking past them, like seeing them. And I just feel like my time at UCLA, I don't know if I did that amazing all the time, but with my instructors or with my classmates, I always did try to see people and be present and realize like I may operate differently than you do, but I see you and I would love it if you saw me and what I value in my artistry. And so my audition teacher at UCLA, which is another reason sometimes you go to these hubs and places, but my audition teacher was Helen Hunt's dad, Gordon Hunt, who was the voice director for the Smurfs, the Flintstones. I mean, he was Hanna-Barbera's like go-to voice director for for so long. So I just said to him like, "Hey Gordon, like if you ever need help with anything or can you help me with auditions? Can I go to you for coaching outside of school if I need and if I could help you with anything?" And he was totally yes. I stage managed for him at the Taper. I'd go and help him with his acting website. He was an older guy. He didn't know how to use a Mac or how to make a website or any of that. So, and I would go to his house in Sherman Oaks. His wife is incredible, BJ. She's amazing. And I would go and I'd work on these auditions, like a 22-page ER audition or, my early Smith auditions or whatever, and I'd work with him. And he taught me so much about breath and about using my body and my voice. And I would just run these things with him. And he'd always say, plan something really fun after your audition so that's way more exciting than the actual audition itself. And I'd say, okay, Gordon. And he'd be like, and call me when you're done, and I'm like, okay. So I would just work with him and he circled my face on a postcard out of UCLA and sent it to Helen's old manager, which is Connie Tabel. and said, I think you need to come and see this girl at the showcase. She came and saw me at the showcase at the Geffen. I was also in a play, which I think was the Lord, because I was like, ooh, if I'm in a play at the same time as a showcase, if they want to see me outside of this, I'll be down at the Powerhouse Theater at Santa Monica doing something. And so I was with a group of our friends from UCLA. I was playing a double amputee, based on Tammy Duckworth. She's an actual veteran, female veteran who flew a helicopter in the Afghanistan wars. And we did a play down at the Powerhouse. And so my manager and the agents that were interested were able to come and see me there. And then I took meetings off of that and then signed on right shortly after my showcase. So
that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. And then from there, like, how long was it before you kind of booked Haven out of drama school, grad school?
Well, I think I got my union card because I think my manager is also a producer and was called up one of her friends and was like, hey, this girl can do a little part on, can we Taft-Hartley her or something? So my first part was across from Simon Baker on a pilot called Smith that he did right before The Mentalist. And then, after that, the biggest thing I got that was my hugest learning curve and from the Lord. And I think a good illustration of trying to weigh what you do and what you don't do was with David Milch. He did a show called John from Cincinnati that they ended Deadwood for. And I called up my parents. I was like, Mom, Dad, I have this HBO audition. The sole reason we did not have cable growing up was HBO. And
Hell's broadcasting office. Yeah,
exactly. And my dad was like, Emily, like, if the Lord opens this door, he's going to protect you. If he's placed you there, he's going to protect you. This is incredible. Go for it. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? What's happening? So I went in and did that audition and I got cast in this incredible ensemble of amazing people. Bruce Greenwood, Rebecca De Mornay, Garrett Dillahunt, incredible Austin Nichols, Brian Van Holt, just an ensemble, insane cast. And I got brought in after the pilot and David was like, hey, I want you to feel like you've been here the whole time. You're going to be in every episode. I was like, what on earth?
Was it a series regular or a recurring guest or what?
Technically a recurring guest, but I was in every episode. But I mean, it was my first job. So I just remember leaving from Burbank, my little apartment in Sherman Oaks and Van Nuys adjacent, Van Nuys, Burbank, Sherman, whatever. And driving down to San Diego it was, I wasn't married or anything. They said jump. I said, okay. And I was there. And I loved it. Everybody was complaining because they were sitting in their trailers all day. And I was like, guys, this is great. This is amazing. Oh yeah. Cause I worked with Luke Perry, who is incredible. And I learned it was just an incredible experience. So that was right after, that was my first big part. And that was probably, right after school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Emily, I got to ask, the way that you're kind of reenacting yourself back then, you have this kind of youthful innocence about you around the industry and stuff. Has that changed for you?
Sometimes I think I think my cynicism and my old drama teacher come out when I'm in between jobs and struggling if this is really where God still wants me. Is this really what I'm supposed to still be doing? I think that's when I have to look out for the cynicism. Whenever I'm on set, I don't feel like that's the case at all. I feel like people laugh at me because I'm always the one being like, we should be grateful. We should be grateful. Let's be grateful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So.
Yeah, I think, for actors that are believers, that question of, it's so funny. I often think to myself, if I transcribe the pillow talk monologues to my wife of me bemoaning the business, it would be as long as a flipping phone book.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating journey to be somebody who loves Jesus, where you feel like you were called, but in between jobs, I don't know what it is that happens to us. And I'm just relating with you now. I mean, this is just an observation.
No, I know.
It's like,
I kind of had a feeling we would relate a lot about a lot of things.
Well, I think, it goes for all of us. It's like, I've often said to Fab, we've dialogued about the business a lot, and I've often said, the work, that's the best part. That's the
Yeah.
easiest part. I mean, easy, not that it's not challenging, but like that's the most beautiful, grateful, Thanksgiving part of the thing. It's actually getting the work and that time in between. And I have friends who are not actors, and they will be transitioning between jobs, but like they'll have 3 jobs in their entire life. And it takes everything that I have in me to not laugh in their face when they go, "Oh man, I'm really struggling." I'm like, this is every 3 days for us. Like I interview twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't get 9 out of the 10 jobs. And I mean, that's a good year. Look, I'm just curious. And this is usually a journey and a process, but like on a good day, how do you manage these moments? What's your process look like when you're in the in-between?
On a good day?
Yeah. You can share the bad
On a
day
good
too.
day. On a good day, I'm Zoom teaching at Bethel, and they're
Yes.
praying for me. No, I think when I was working very heavily, probably all the way up until Haven. So I got out of school at around 2006, 2007. I had Memphis 2015. So I'd say I worked pretty steadily, but it was either I was doing, because Uncharted was a 10-year game, doing 4 of them. So I would be on like John from Cincinnati or ER or something. I'd come back, I would do Uncharted. And then when I got Haven, I'd go do Haven for 6 months. I'd come back to LA and I'd just be shooting Uncharted. And I just would kind of bonka back and forth, which was, I was like, this is great. I've avoided all employment pain. This is amazing. And I think in that time, there was just a lot of like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I think the picture was, I always had this vision of like, okay, I'll be working, then I'll come back and I'll speak or I'll teach or I'll do something. And then I'll get another job and I'll go do that. And I'll, or I'll teach at UCLA, or I'll teach on the off, and then it'll feed into me working. And then that was kind of how it went. I think after I had my second kid, after I had Memphis, and I booked this incredible pilot with Mark Cherry, who did Desperate Housewives, and it was filming. It was Reba McEntire. It was an amazing character. I got to play this comedic character. It was awesome. It was going to film in Decatur, Georgia. It was one of those things where like Variety, Deadline, everybody's, predicting the 10 pilots that are going to go. We were on that short list, all the things. And you're just like, okay, where am I going to buy the house? Or what am I going to do with this, And I remember hearing that it didn't get picked up, and it's like you go through, it's like you get the audition, you hope that goes well, you get a call back, you hope that goes well, you go to get testing, or at least this is how it used to be. You get testing, and then you're down and you're waiting to hear, and then you get it, and then you get the pilot, and then you go and you shoot the pilot, and you're waiting to hear if it's going to go, and it's this whole system along the way of going, I don't know, Lord, is this, um, but I think from that point, to be really honest with you, it's just been a journey of learning to handle, dare I say this word, disappointment and and wilderness and long stretches. And sometimes you take jobs that maybe you wouldn't take because you need the insurance for your family, or you need to pay this bill or that bill, or you just want to be back on set. And so I think what the hard days look like and what the good hard days look like recently have just really trying to spend time in the mornings with the Lord and be like, okay, whatever, whatever. Like, what do you want to, what manna do you have for me today? What do you want to tell me today? And then trying to be present with my kids and available, and not a grump and not irritated, and then just trusting and asking people to be in prayer around you, and constantly coming before the Lord and saying, is this what you want for me anymore? because I just feel like there's a long season of my life where I'm like, this is what I'm called to do. I know what I'm called to do. The doors have opened. I want to be a light in a dark place. This is what I'm called to do. And when that's not seeming to happen anymore, and you slowly realize that you've put your identity in that in a way, even though you don't think you have, then you kind of have to reassess and come to the Lord constantly. So right now, it's coming to the Lord constantly. Lord, do you still want me here? Show me something. If you want me here, show me something. And if you don't, show me the other thing. What do you want me to do?
What does that look for you? What does that look like, Emily, in terms of like, I think as creators, performers, whatever you want to call us, and this isn't just in arts and entertainment, but a lot of the time our identity is wrapped up in what we do. How have you found that shift with the Lord where you found, listen, my identity isn't based in just what I do? It's part of it, because we'd be lying to say that we didn't get fulfillment out of what we did, right? And part of our calling, our identity is wrapped up in that. But was there a shift for you when you found that, listen, it's about him, it's not about what I do? Was there a shift for you in that process?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think maybe it was a big move for us across the country, because my Instagram name has LA in it. Like, I was all about Los Angeles. Like, and not for any other reason other than, to this day, when people want to throw shade on Los Angeles, like, I get defensive for it. I always say it was like a fiance that I was engaged to that all of a sudden developed a bad drug addiction, and now I don't recognize him anymore, But I just feel like I have such a deep love for that city. I had some mentors tell me, like, well, yes, the city, and it's important to care for the cities, and you may feel called, but that's also the people and like that community. And so that community is in so many places now. So how can you love on this community wherever you are planted or wherever you go? I think I would have told you till I was blue in the face that my identity was not wrapped up in what I did. I would have told you, even though I would say, oh yeah, I'm a working actor. It's like, I would have told you, but I think now I just feel like, I don't know if it's age or whatever. It's just like, well, what if that goes away? Will I still be okay? If that goes away, will I be okay? It's a hard question, especially when you believe what scripture says, like, there are works that you have been created in advance, like things have been created for you in advance to do. So go and walk in it, go and run in it. So I think it's that balance of saying, like, almost like it sounds really bad, but like, the image I get is like a well-trained golden retriever, or like a loyal lab that just sits next to his master and just sits there and is like, I'll go. I'll go. Like, you tell me to go, I'll go, but I'm going to come right back, or I'm going to wait. I'm going to listen. What do you want? I got to stay. Okay, I'll stay. I think I was getting to a point where I was maybe just like running, like going, okay, I got it. Great. Like, let's go, so I think now there's times where I feel like he hands me some stuff and I go and I run and I go with it. But I really try hard now. The shift in me is just to keep trying to check in, because I don't want to be, what is it? Like in Moses saying, I don't want to be where your presence is. I don't want to be there. Yeah. Yes. I don't want to be there.
It's like, when it's all stripped away, who are you?
And I think we should end on that question. And even though I know that we were, even though I know that we wanted to do something else for the second parter, I really feel like there's something on this topic of conversation. And so, Emily, if you're willing, I know it feels like we suddenly went deep. I'm wondering if we're even willing to go a little bit deeper in part 2, if that's all right. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging with us on this first part of Emily Rose's episode of Storia. We can't wait to see you on part 2.
See you soon.